Hi, this is Brent. Welcome to Theoretically Practical. Today we're going to show you how to cut the cord for your filming camera and run off of a cordless battery instead. So let's take a look at what this whole design needs to function. So you've got your drill battery, right? 18 volt Milwaukee-ish drill battery. You've got, in this case, a lot of these that you can buy online are for converting power wheels to run off these batteries, and they're 3D printed, but I was able to find an, I think this is nylon, PA6, so it's nylon. A shoe is what I call it, for like the same price. So that's what I went with. I'm pretty happy with that. You got your main power switch. This is like I think it's like a 10 amp switch, so it needs to be able to interrupt the amount of power that you're trying to drive through it. Otherwise, you'll burn the contacts out, the switch will stop working, you'll have all sorts of problems. So this is a pretty reasonable switch for the application. And then the most important part, the part that it's easy to forget about, this is a low voltage shutoff. So what we'll do is once we hook this to the battery, we will set our low voltage cutoff and then also our resume number, because this is the difference for the resumption of power. So basically this thing gets power in from this side, and once in this case we're going to set it to 17.5 volts. That seems to be the right number. If somebody else has a better idea, go ahead and let me know. We're going to set this to 17.5 volts to turn off, and then 18 volts to turn back on again. So we'll show you setting this up. But what that'll do is if you draw a lithium battery down to 0, you damage it. So this is preventing damage to this battery. And then we need what's called a boost block power converter. This one has me a little concerned because with the fins on it this big, it's trying to dissipate a fair amount of heat. So it may be somewhat inefficient for what we're trying to do. We may find that our runtime is significantly lower than it should be, in which case we might look into putting a different module in here. But I think this will work out just fine. And this takes an input voltage of, I want to say like 10 to 40 volts and outputs 10 to 60 volts. So it'll buck and boost. I say buck and boost. That's just term for buck blocks will convert a higher voltage to a lower voltage, and boost blocks will convert a lower voltage to a higher voltage. It's just regular terminology. And then there's the plug that goes in the back of the camera. I measured it with calipers. I will put the size in the description so people can order these. I'll probably put all the part numbers in the description. So now we just have to hook everything up. Hopefully it just works and we don't find any magic smoke coming out of things. Okay, so we got this wired up, kind of temporary, but it'll end up permanent eventually. Got the switch to off, that's good. We're gonna take the 18 volt battery, stick it in the shoe, perfect. No lights, no nothing, that's good. Now we turn it on. And we got 19.7 volts and the output is on right now. So we're gonna hit and hold the plus, they call it the plus button in the manual. Oh, you could just, there's no way you'll see it, but if you look in this crevice right there, there's a little plus and there's a little minus. So you're supposed to hold the plus, and now that it's blinking, and we want this, I'm gonna set it to 17.4 volts for the shutoff because I want to. 17.4 volts. Okay, and then you just gotta let it sit till it's decided it's locked. There we go. And then you hold the minus. And so 18, we're gonna go down to 18. So this is the differential. So it's 17.4 plus this is when it would turn back on. So I set it to, well, I meant to set it to 1.5. 1.5, so 17.4 turns off, and 18.9 it would turn back on. This is more for something like an RV where you might want it to turn off and on automatically, but it will work for this purpose. The documentation says that it's for this purpose, for whatever that's worth. So we got 19.5 volts out, that's great. We got our shut off on, we got this set, we're gonna turn it off, and then we're gonna wire this to our power supply. And then what I'm gonna guess, because this had no documentation, is either this, or maybe one of them is gross and one of them is fine adjustment, but that'll be what adjusts the output, which comes out here. So we're gonna hook this into this, turn it back on again, and get our voltage on the output set where we like it, which should be just about 30. So we're gonna set it for 30 at first, but if it seems like it drops as the voltage of the battery drops, then we might go ahead and set it for like 32 or something. These usually take 10% extra beyond what they say, and then that would mean that as the battery drops, you have longer with maximum light. Okay, I moved some stuff around, taped it down just for ease of seeing. So you get your battery, you get your switch, you got your low voltage cutoff, which we have already set, and you have your power supply. So we're gonna turn it on. Well, no magic sparks. I'm pretty pleased with that. Magic smoke, not magic sparks. That's okay. Now we're gonna check our voltage. We'll set it to the 50 volt range. What is our output set at? So right now it's set at 20 volts. So we're gonna play with this one. That one does not seem to change the voltage. Well, if it ain't the one, no, it's not the other. I think it's time to read some documentation, if such a thing exists. Okay, we're back. I've got this lovely instructions from eBay that also says things like 12 volt lighter, 20 volt the output voltage, the higher the current will increase to quiet. So I have nothing but faith in these instructions. It says adjust CV, adjust potentiometer clockwise to reduce, counterclockwise to reverse, adjust CC, adjust potentiometer clockwise to minimize output current before connecting to load, counterclockwise to reduce current. So clockwise to increase. So yeah, they're backwards of each other because why wouldn't that be? And if you'll see on this board, this one is clearly not labeled current, and this one is clearly not labeled voltage. But the picture on the eBay listing had that, so I was able to figure it out. But I think they changed their silk screening or whatever. So now, and you got to rotate this thing a while. Let me actually get the voltmeter on there. So now, if I wind it backwards, you can see the voltage is starting to move. So we're gonna set it at right at 30 volts. And I don't know, we're gonna hook it up, we're gonna see what happens. So now that we know we got 30 volts output from there, we're gonna hook it up to our light, we're gonna try to turn our light on. All right, so we're gonna turn this on. Good. We're going to check our voltage at the output, and we're gonna turn the light on, and we'll see what happens. Hey, there we go. So I'm pretty thrilled by that. I'll grab the thing in a second. Pulls the battery right down to like 18.8, which is fine. The voltage regulator is working right. I did not really touch the amperage adjustment, and I don't think in this application it matters. That's more for using as a battery charger. Yeah, awesome. I'm gonna plug in the power supply, and then we'll switch between that and the battery, and we'll see if they appear the same. Actually, one better, I have a lumen meter that has not been calibrated since the 70s, so we'll use that for accuracy. All right, so this is my Spectra illumination meter. I got it basically out of a dumpster, but it does work, I think. I have never used it for anything useful. So there's this little thing here, and you'll notice if I look up with it, you can see the meter goes up. If I look down, it goes down. So if I cover it with my hand, it drops to 0. In it is the X100. So there's a predefined orifice in here. And so it's set to the 500-foot candle range. right there. And so that means that this will actually be 0 to 5,000 because you have the X100 instead of 50,000 foot candles. So I'm going to put it right here, right in the same spot, pretty much the same orientation. We're going to turn this on full bore, and we have 52 on this meter. So we can turn it down a little and you see it drop. We can turn it up and it gains. I think I'm going to try to get to where it's, there we go. Okay. So we're pretty much aligned to that. I'm not going to go super scientific. We got 150 at full bore running on the power source. So we're going to turn that off. Unplug that. Plug in our battery powered power source. Turn that on. Okay. Crank up the light to full and put this in right about the same place. And yeah, more or less the same. We're not losing any illumination with this, with the power source, which is all I really was trying to prove. And I remembered that I had this in my little box of tricks somewhere. So there you go, the lumen meter. And so after hanging on to it for 10 years, I was finally able to find, 5 minutes worth of use for it. So there it is. We got our proof of concept. Now we're gonna stuff everything in a box that's way too big, because the other option was the box that's way too small. And yeah. Okay, so this is gonna be our enclosure. This is the only other enclosure I have, and if you put just this in it, it's full, so it's not gonna happen. So we're gonna use this. We're gonna mount this at one end, the on-off switch at one end of it. We're gonna put these into it, and then what we're gonna do is take a couple of these little cable glands, and we're gonna put one, actually probably put both of them at the top. One for the gazinta and one for the gazouta, as my grandfather used to say. And yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put that in there, and then we'll come back and we'll find a good mounting spot for this, and we'll find a good mounting spot for this on our stand. We are gonna try to mount the weight as low as possible to the ground, because this is a top-heavy light right now, and it's been frustrating in the past. So instead of just welding some parts on there, I thought about this overnight, and I really want to make this a project that's easy for everyone. So, and I had some doubts about welding to tubing this thin and some other issues. So what I thought up and came up with is, see right here, I put a hose clamp on there, and it fits nice and tight. So what I'm going to do is take a hose clamp like this. I'm going to drill a hole through the separated section. It's going to be a pain in the ass, but I'll get it. And using some washers to sandwich it, I'm going to rivet it to the back of this box. So then I'm going to bolt the battery shoe here, which usually I don't like to attach things to the lid, but in this case it's got the 1/4-inch terminals here, so it's really easy to disconnect. So when you want to service it, you can take it away. So then you'll have this nice unit that you can either attach to your camera and it's held down low, it's held strongly for as long as you want to film with it, or you can take it off and put it away, or use it on a different camera, different light, or for a different purpose if you need to. So I think that's going to be the solution going forward, to make it a little simpler to manufacture and possibly a little more flexible in its purpose. So for those of you who are not that familiar with them, this is called a pop rivet. This pulls back, this stays in place, and it kind of crumples this up, and it snaps off the shaft eventually. It's supposed to work that way. It's pretty simple. You got your package. This one's a 1/2 inch, which is way too long for this, but it's not going to hurt anything to use a too long rivet, and it's what I got. And then 3/16 diameter. So that's just the size of the drill. That's all you got to do. Boom, 3/16 drill. You're ready to rock and roll. Right, and then we've got our pop rivet to try to drill through. I'm gonna grab some pliers. That'll make this easier. So you're gonna wanna I like vice grips for something like this, but you're gonna grip it really well. You're not gonna try to hold this with your hands while you're drilling this, because with the way the holes are in this, you're not so much drilling a hole as tearing through there, and it'll catch and you'll just cut your hands to pieces if you don't do that. There we go. So the one nice thing about the rivet is when it tightens up against that, it won't have a very tall head on it. It'll clip onto the round surface of the bar a lot better, I think. So there we go. We're gonna open that up a little bit and rivet away. Yeah, we're gonna go all the way with this. There we go. That's the pop. So, all right, the washer does nothing. Don't use the washer unless you got a 3/16 washer. But that's basically what it does. So you can see this, it's sort of in there. It's really well attached. It's not a very tall attachment, which is nice. And it should be perfect for what we're trying to do. So we'll get the second one. We're gonna drill that one out as well and get that mounted up. When you're assembling stuff like this, just think about for a minute, just because, you know, having both of these on the same side is just gonna make your life that little bit better. There we go. All right, perfect. So that's done. We're gonna now mount the shoe to the top, thusly. Yeah, we're gonna do it like that. So it'll be close to the bottom edge, and the wires are gonna loop around and come out of the box. So you can unplug them from here if you need to work on it. And when it's attached to it, you can drop a new battery in or pull a battery out, but you're not gonna have to be monkeying with it upside down. Oh, the size fastener that fits the chamfer on these, if you buy the same ones as me, is an 832. That's the right fastener for this. Okay, there we go. Shoe's all mounted up. So this will be facing downwards, so when you want to put a new battery in, boom, you slap it in. You want to take one out, you pinch it, you pull it out. Should be all right. We got our box that mounts to our tube. Now we just got to put the electronics in it, and that should be that. All right, we're going to declare this is our top and that. I really ought to use a step drill. They kind of have these little steps that go up to different sizes. They're made for drilling thin materials. If you're drilling thin materials with a regular twist drill, you're gonna end up with like a triangular hole. It's usually not a big deal, but a step drill is what I should have. Because then stuff like that doesn't happen. So, all right, I think off should be, oh, there we go. Off should be that and forward should be on. I like that orientation, so. You don't want to go totally nuts tightening on this, because you can just, this little ring will just strip out pretty easily. As long as it doesn't twist with a gentle motion, like that's pretty reasonable. Because you're not going to be trying to, you can't, this rotates, you're not going to be trying to twist it. You're just going to be doing that. Man, a satisfying switch is a satisfying switch no matter how you cut it. So, all right, and we're going to drill one hole for the power in here and the power out there. And we're going to be using these nice little cord grips. They won't really seal because it's not a round cable, but it's just going to look nicer, and they'll grab it in place. And if they won't grab on, this goes pretty small, so it'll grab on. But if they don't grab on, you always pull the section to the side that you want to grab on, put a few wraps of electric tape on, slide it back in, and crimp it down again, and you're going to be happy with that. So There we go. The whole kit of these, I got, where is it? Yeah. I want to say I paid like $15 or $20 for this whole, or even less than that, for this whole attachment of these. I've used really good quality ones and I've used cheap ones, and I can't tell the difference. I really can't. For, you know, without going to metallic ones, but for the plastic nylon ones, they're all the same. That through there. Then what I'm going to do is just plug them in to where they go. Hold this. It doesn't have to be completely on top. Just going to tuck these wires in until they're a good, reasonable length. So then we can just lock this in place. And you can tighten the heck out of these. And now this isn't going anywhere. So now we can detach this and do whatever we want with the inside wires. I'm going to cut the wires, and then, of course, now that I've tightened it on, I'm going to loosen it off, and I'm just going to solder to those legs because I don't have a ring terminal that size, and they don't grab wire very well. So I'm just going to solder them. Ah, stupid battery. This is great, but it does not last terribly long. It's still on, so we're going to use it for now, and then we'll switch to the plug-in. Yeah, the battery on this is dead. I'm gonna go put it in the charger, which is what I should have done yesterday. Okay, this bad boy will do the trick. Okay, there's that half. Yeah. Oh no, that's what a cold solder joint looks like. Oh wait, it's just still liquid. Okay, there we go. Now I'm happy. That's going nowhere. Okay, so this is in. The switch is wired up. We got power from here to here, back from the switch. We're gonna go into here and then to here and then out to the light, and that's pretty much it. Right now I'm just gonna hot glue these bad boys down, and then I'm gonna put I'm actually gonna put ferrules like I always do on the ends of these, because it's just, once you've gone ferrule, you'll never go back. So while I was waiting for the hot glue gun to warm up, I did preheat these with the heat gun just a little bit, because if they're dead cold, and it's like 30 out, so it's not too bad. But if they're dead cold and you put the hot glue gun on, it's gonna cool it really quick, it'll contract, it won't stick as well. So we're gonna just slap that bad boy down there. And we're gonna adjust the settings on this, because I've realized some things. Great, that's what I wanted. Ran out of hot glue. I'll be right back. And I can't find my hot glue, so I'm gonna use the next best thing, a 3/8 drive extension, which is, it's basically hot glue. That will do her. Should I have put all the connections together before gluing it in? Perhaps. Perhaps. How does that not go in? What a pain in the butt. All right, we're gonna do one of those snap to it being put together moments. So, and look at that, everything's in, everything's wired up. I ended up using just smaller size ferrules that I could barely fit over the end of the cable, and that made them small enough to fit in there. Smaller wire would be a proper solution as well. So we're going to hook black to minus, red to plus, and we're going to turn this on. Check the output voltage. Make sure that we're still on ball with that. Oh yeah, you gotta set it to the DC voltage mode and not just off. Right at 30 volts, right polarity, plus, minus, yep, everything's good. So, awesome. But what we're gonna do though is, the reason why I say that we set this automatic shutoff incorrectly is because it reads what it says, and it says 19.4, and then it goes to 18.2. So just turning the light on drops the voltage by about 1.2, 1.3 volts. So we need the turn back on number to be more than 1.3 volts, or when the battery gets low, it'll sit there and just flash, which we don't want. So we're gonna hit the minus, which we had set to 1.5. Perfect. Oh, no. Perfect. 1.5 is great, because that'll mean that it won't get to the bottom and flicker. These batteries have from what I've seen online, they're pretty notorious for being terrible in the cold. At least AVE video said that. So I'm not that surprised that this thing looks like it's dropping like a stone. It does say 3 bars on it, but it's dropping quick, but that's fine. All right, so I'm gonna shut this off, close this up. We're gonna put it back on the light. I'm gonna bring one of these into the house and charge it fully, and then we're gonna do a timed test on this. Okay. Yeah, see, that's, whatever. It's fine for the purpose. You know, the big deal is if I can hold this, yeah, and I can yard that off and yard that on without worrying about it. One thing at the time I didn't realize is that if you want to put a Velcro to hold this in place and go right through there, you can. There's clearance there. I didn't realize that. Why countersink the screws if you got tons of clearance? I don't know, but in any case. All right, so we're just gonna put our light on the stand, clamp it down, and there we go. And plug that in there. And then the nice thing is we can then take it and lift it up. And lift it up. And as far as I put enough cable on there, it'll go the full height. Obviously, we just gone completely off the frame. So I'm gonna bring it back down like that. All you gotta do is turn it on and turn it on at the light. And see, no cables. Now, like I said, I'm gonna set this up and do a time test, but one other thing about this that I really like is that with just the camera up there, or the light, I keep calling it camera, it's still not a camera. With just the light up there, and a cord dangling, usually I don't have an extension cord on it, so it's hanging the power supply somewhere in the air around here, which is pulling on it. Like the slightest tip makes this feel very tippy. But now you've added a good amount of weight to the bottom of it, and that's nice and sturdy. I mean, it's not going anywhere. And this would have been great last week, because when I was trying to film the lathe work, that I shouldn't have done, but that's fine. When I was trying to film the lathe work, I would have been more inclined to spend time moving my light around more, but I was somewhat limited due to the power cord. So I'm gonna set up another test to see how long these will run, but I'm gonna bring them in the house and charge them in the house, because charging them at 30 degrees and bringing them out at 30 degrees, it's a little unfair to these batteries. So, okay, so we're back. I'm about to do the 1 hour test of the battery pack. You can see there's a heater in front of that. It's just like a radiator style electric heater. That's just to keep the battery pack from cooling down too much. Give it the best chance it can get, which probably doesn't stand too much of a chance. Well, anyways, we'll see what happens. I think if the timing doesn't work out, I would blame the battery more than the system. I've got this little clock right here. I'm just gonna set it to midnight in military time, because that's what I could get at short notice to do the timing. So we're gonna say set. Yeah, 2014 is fine. Just another thing, I lowered the low voltage cutoff threshold of the battery to 15 volts. That's what I read is the correct setting. So we're going to turn this on and turn this on all the way. And let the speed up begin. I might rotate that a little bit. That is much better. All right, you can clearly see what's going on. We're several seconds into it, less than a minute anyways. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Well, all right, I saw it go off actually. It's 55 minutes, so it's a cheap Chinese setup. I'm not that surprised with batteries, but you get about an hour of life out of the camera. Well, that's about it for today. The light obviously works. Our battery life was not what we would have hoped, but those batteries haven't been cycled, which will help give them a little bit more capacity over time, and they were $25 for a 6 amp hour Milwaukee battery versus like I think $125 or $150. So if you're willing to shell out, or if you already have the larger batteries, that would be great. But I think if you had 2 sets of those batteries and 2 chargers, you could probably film all day long. But what I built this for is I can see myself in certain circumstances doing some automotive stuff on site. I've got a few friends that have some projects they're stuck with, and they seem to be more interesting diagnostic problems than pure manpower problems, and I wanted something I could take on site. I'll also say that if you can get away with turning it down a little bit, this is going to run a lot longer. You turn it down by half and it'll run for at least twice as long, but I think a little more than that. So, and if you made it this far, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and have a great weekend.